to do this with. Okay. Hi again, everybody. Hello. Welcome. This is What I'm going to be talking about today is animated reactions. A significant amount of dialogue that we do in every anime is reactions. There's the dialogue. I don't know how anime is recorded, but we go one person at a time in the booth. We preview. We do one line at a time. We preview a line in the original language, which is mostly Japanese. And then we come back. We remove the Japanese voice, but leave the music and effects in the actor's ear, and then we react to that. And there's several hundred lines per episode. But in a 450 line script, maybe a third of that stuff is just breathing and efforts and stuff like that. And the problem is, if you just do a sound, if efforts were just a sound, it would sound like this. Imagine I'm taking some pain. And when I get new actors come in, I get a lot of that, where it's just like, okay, I really need you to scream really loud, you really feel a lot of pain, you're like, go for it, and it just doesn't work. And that's because it's part of the acting. Reactions in anime are part of the dialogue. It doesn't happen a lot in American stuff. Jeff Bridges is one of the few actors that breathing is part of his words. But most everybody, it's just about the words, not about breathing. But if you watch anime, and you all watch anime a lot, you notice that so much of what is in the story is unsaid. So much of it is what's not being said, what's being hidden. And a lot of those clues come out in the reactions. So there's an anime actress named Karen Strassman. She had a great line about what reactions are. They are an unintentional utterance based on a surprise emotion that you feel. So it's not that the pain is not the sound, it's the pain generates the sound. And I know that sounds silly, but that's kind of how you have to look at it. That whatever sound you make is being generated by something else. So for instance, if you're going to be attacking someone, and we're going to go through this in a minute, but if you're attacking someone and you're screaming and you're going to charge up, well, why? Are you angry at them? Are you scared of them? Are you a robot that's just a killing machine? What is it? What's the difference between when a Titan kills a person and when somebody who casts a spell of fate and kills a person? What's the difference? Why is the sound different? And it has to do with what's behind the sound. There are the basic sounds that we make are breath, grunts, efforts, laughs, fighting reactions, and fear. Those are the basic ones that we do. We also have a lot of this, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But what you need to understand, whatever you're doing as a reaction, and I'm going to let you guys come up here and trust me this if you want. Whatever you want to do as a reaction, it has to have an emotion on it. It must be an emotion. It's an acting, by the way, too. If you watch any anime and you're listening to ones that move your heart, it's because the actor is feeling the emotion alone, and the writer wrote the script in the way in which it's going to work, and the imagery all fits in that. So it all works together. There also has to be some physicality. Characters, other people, somebody told me that it must be nice to be a voice actor. You don't have to do anything. You just have to stand there. Well, that's not true. There's physicality, and when you're doing acting work in the booth, you have to move your body in the same way the characters do. It affects the way you sound. I can hear whether you're slouching, standing up straight, frowning, smiling. I can hear it. I can hear it in the voice. Even though you don't really hear it, you can feel it. You can sense it. This is one of the reasons why, as voice actors, I'm not as afraid as AI as most people are. Because AI can't do that. The AI can't do the non-verbal stuff, the words behind the words. Someday it will, but not probably in our lifetime, which is good for us. Unfortunately for artists, that's harder. But for us, I think we're going to be okay for the moment. Basic reactions come up all the time. It's part of your dialogue. I have a script here. This is an anime script from Kill La Kill. And on here, there is at least 2 reactions in just 6 months. Okay? So it's by the way, I'm going to use that tomorrow. I'm going to do directing now. Those of you who are interested in that sort of stuff, I'm going to use the scripts tomorrow. But they come up all the time. The basic ones that you need to learn as an actor coming in is damage. Giving damage, taking damage. So attacking and taking that. The next one is, I can't read my right. My goodness. My eyes are just filled with something. All right, taking damage, running and panting, and that's kind of efforts, breathing, but acting is part of breathing. Acting is part of an emotional response, not just, I mean, there's some of that, but a lot of it is, am I going to breathe like, am I going to be frustrated or sad? You know, it's not much of a difference, but what's behind it makes a difference, and that's, I mean, marry that with a picture, it makes a big difference. And then the secret evidence sound, which I'll teach you in a moment. Some of it, I want to figure out what it is. So you don't want to participate in this? You want to be a part of this? Yes. Okay, everybody stand up. So first of all, I'm just going to have you warm up a little. Just lift up your body a little. Just shake it. Just shake a little bit. Shake your body, move your arms around. Let's get loose. Get feeling better. Hold that feels feeling better. Loose a little bit. All right, so good. So thanks. Okay, it's good. So now that you've got that handled, all right, so we're gonna start with giving damage. All right, and a volunteer will come down. Who's volunteer? One person. One down. I'll get you all there. Sit down. I'll get you all up here in just a moment. Okay, so let's say you're gonna give some damage. You're gonna attack me. All right. Let's figure out what weapon you're using. Hammer. What's your name? Okay, everybody all right. Okay, your hammer. So you're going to swing it at him, okay? Why are you attacking me?
You stabbed my dog.
Okay, so anger. So it's revenge and anger. So keep that in mind. Now, there's a thing called physicalizing your emotions. I teach this when I teach young actors how to do this. When you have to get to an emotion quickly, sometimes it's not easy to just do it. To just, I'm just going to feel sad now. It's not in that much, especially after, 12 around an LA freeway to the studio. Sometimes you're not in the mood. So you physicalize your emotions. So let's say you've got revenge. So you're angry and you're making me have revenge. When you have that feeling in real life, where do you feel that in your body?
Kind of like right in my chest.
Okay, you specific. How does it feel?
Kind of like this weird icy cold feeling and really dense.
Okay, cool. Okay, remember that feeling feels like. You just have it there. All right? And then I'm going to count to 3 and you attack me. Okay, you swing, you do full swing, all right? 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ah!
Okay, be angry. Make me one. Make me one and like turn into a club.
Oh, okay.
3, 2, 1.
Ah!
There you go. Okay, you feel the difference? It wasn't the loudness, by the way. It was the anger that was behind it, okay? Now do it the same thing, but now you're afraid of me. You're fearful, you're afraid of me. You don't hit me, I'm going to kill you, okay? 3, 2, 1.
Ah!
Hear the difference? It's very subtle. It's that subtlety that makes a difference between a good and a bad performance. Really, it's that subtle. And if you can really get that down, that's between a good and a bad performance. All right, great. Have a seat. I'm going to come back up here just a second. All right, cool. The next thing is taking damage. Who wants to try that? Come on. All right, when you're taking damage, it gets a little weird here because when you're taking damage, in modern storytelling, it takes a gender turn here at some point. For men, the characters are generally taking damage because they're being attacked, they're being chased, it's some sort of aggressiveness, it's some sort of war. There's fear, but it's not the same fear as a woman would have. Does that make sense? Okay. For women, especially since more and more women are being the leads, the main characters in the action pieces, that you have the tendency to have to be either the aggressor that I was just talking about or the damsel in distress. So you're fighting because you're scared. And that's about the only difference. Other than that, it's very much the same, and it really depends on the character you're playing. I'm just talking about how it's going to be written right now. That's changing, by the way. It's getting more and more equal, which is good. All right, so you're taking damage, which means there's a couple things involved. There's pain, so you're going to feel some pain, all right? And then there's an emotion behind that. And the emotion is going to be either why, either I'm afraid of you, I'm angry with you, I hate you, something that has an emotion behind that. There's usually some sort of fear. What's the fear based on? So let's say I'm going to do the hammer. I'm going to use the hammer, okay? Do that. And I'm going to hit you this way, all right? So I need you to flinch, so there's flinching. That's physicality. If you're going to stab or something, there's a sort of physical flinch. You need to do that and move. Actually do the flinch. So that's when you do there. There's also the emotion. What's the emotion going to be? You're fearful because I'm bigger than you, I'm smarter than you.
This is the villain.
Because I'm the villain. I'm an evil villain, so you're afraid of the evil, okay. So when do you feel like fear? When do you feel fear? When do you feel fear? Right here. Describe it.
Like you're just like, oh, fear? Like,
Yeah, describe it. Be really specific on the description. What does it feel like?
it's like, it's an uneasy feeling.
Okay. Does it have physical, like a tingle? Does it?
Like, you're feeling like
Okay, good.
your body's moving.
Okay, so we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do this now. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I need some. Okay, it's voice acting. So you be loud. So, 3, 2, 1. Wow. So here's what I'm like, something that's hard. 3, 2, 1. There you go. Okay, good. That's what I was looking for. So what was in that was all the fear and the flinching, but the fear was there. What was missing a little bit was the pain. That's okay. I missed it. Okay. All right, so put this down. Push back up here. Okay, so now, all right, I need to go on here. Hold on. Oh, this is weird. Okay, so this is running. Here's what I get when I get running with a brand new person. Does that sound like running? Because when you're running, it's not just breathing. There's panting, there's physicality. And then there's the reason you're running. Are you afraid? Are you angry? Are you happy? You're running towards something or running away from something. All those have to do with the emotions behind it. But the big part is when running is the physicality. The first thing, stand nice balance. In the booth, you cannot move your feet. Feet make noise, okay? So, and you can't move your mouth away from the microphone. But everything else can move. So when you're doing running, first of all, what happens when you run? Your butt shakes. It's a certain, and your knees just, the knees, okay? And it's a little bit to the point where you can just kind of talk, but you don't really breathe evenly. So it's you can feel yourself grumping over there. Imagine you're walking over a rock, so like that. And then you can stop. So that's what you just breathing, but you use that to make it sound, okay? All right, so let's have you running away from me because you're afraid, okay? So go for it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so it's very rhythmic what you're doing. You're giving a lot of voice. When you run, when you really run, you go up, up.
Oh, okay.
No, it's like this, okay? So that's the first thing. Secondly, you're jumping over stuff. Just keep it really uneven. The more uneven, in fact, it is, the better it sounds. The more even it sounds. So let's try that again. 3, 2, 1, go. Take all the voice out. Take the voice out. No up. There it is. That's all you need. That's all you need. That's it. That's all you need. Thanks. What is that? So what's weird is that you really have to work hard to make it not sound like you're faking it when you're faking it. Okay. So that's kind of the hard thing, is just finding that little more. One of the ways that you learn to do it as an actor is watch a lot of anime. You watch it and listen. Watch what you're doing. Not just watch it for the story, watch it for the technique and how you're doing it. There's some of these people, especially some of the older anime people who've been around for a long time, are really good at it. You really hear the technique going on when you're doing that. All right. So next. Okay. One more volunteer. Go on. All right, well, that's a heavy. All right, cool. So what's your name? Shoma. Okay, thank you, man. Good. So we're going to talk about breathing and effort. So effort would be when you're lifting something, when you're having just efforts and that sort of stuff. So when that happens, when you do that for real, what happens to your body?
You're locked in, basically.
Yeah, you're tensing up your body, right? So you want to tense up your body like that, and then just feel it up and just give it a little sound.
Okay.
So try that. Just give me one. Okay, take all the voice out.
Okay.
Just your breath. Go. Tense up. There you go. Okay, good. Doesn't take a lot of sound. Just enough to make it happen. Okay? The other thing is if you're going to drag someone, this happens a lot of energy. So it's constant. And you just keep it uneven. Okay, cool. So that's how that's done. All right, thanks. Listen, I'm going to have all that. And finally, one more moment. Come on. What is your name? Gabrielle. Okay, so this is what I call the secret anime sound. You've all heard this. It is only exists in anime. Whenever I try this in an American cartoon, the director goes, no, to anime. So, okay. And it says you all heard it. Okay, it's not a cough, it's like a surprise. Good. Now, this is the tofu of all reactions. Whatever emotion you add to it, it takes on. So happy, sad, jealous, angry. Good. See, it doesn't matter what you do, whatever you do, that works. And I use that a lot anytime if you ever get an opportunity to actually be in an anime, that's going to come up. And it's one of those things that if you don't know what else to do, you do that. And it almost always works. When we're doing anime, we try not to follow the Japanese reactions exactly. They express things differently than we do. If we did stuff the way they did it would sound way over the top. And if we were doing a Japanese show in American style, they think we were boring adults because we're not big enough, broad enough. So part of it is trying to find that balance. So if you get a chance to be in the anime, you try to do what feels like what they're doing, but it seems natural to you. So that's why you don't hear a lot of, usually you don't hear that, you don't really do that here. Unless it's specific to the character. So then we'll do that sort of thing. Before I go to the next one, any questions? No? Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to have all of you guys stand up. Who's right hand? Take one. And just go ahead and stand over here. You're not going to but you're going to have to read them all. There you go. And I think that's everybody. Okay, we're going to do a quick casting here. What I have is a story that we're going to do. And by the way, there's this all here goes.
Yes,
sir. She's going to be reading the story for us. And you guys can provide all the reactions. Okay? So based on what we just talked about. So we're going to start with you. You are the prince. We're the princess. You shall be the prince, the princess. You're the knight. There's one more. You're the old lady.
Oh.
And you are the string. I think I know what you're going to be here. 1, 2, 3.
The prince, the princess, the knight, the lady, and the old one.
This lady, and the old one. Okay, so that's it.
Okay.
The old lady. Play my like that.
I got you.
I kind of guess something.
So the old one is okay.
No, the old one is different than the lady.
Okay. It's unknown.
That makes sense? Look that over for a minute.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
And while they're looking over, any questions, I'm going to tap into your just going to give them a moment.
You gotta look for like the
Go ahead.
like what it says.
Lady screen.
I believe that should be.
What's the most, the most difficult thing to convey is any complex emotion, you're stacking emotions on top of each other. So I'm angry because a person insulted me, but I think they're right, and that's why I'm pissed off. You have all these things. When you can start, that's the hard part, is playing all those levels. The hardest part I've ever played for that sort of stuff is New York, or Leech, because he has all these emotions, but he can't feel them. So I have to have the present play can express them. And that's the hard action to do, which makes it fun, actually. Yes?
Do you ever think about like pitch? Like I'm a singer, so I kind of have to think about pitch a lot when and obviously other things too.
Yeah, it's mostly placement, mostly because a younger character tends to be placed higher in the head, well, older characters tend to be placed down in the chest. But yeah, we do play with pitch quite a bit. And especially when there's sometimes when we finish a half an episode and then we come back a couple days later and we have to imagine what the character is doing then, and that pitch becomes very important. So, yeah, singing is, I started music theater, so I found that people who have a music background have an easier time with this. By the way. So, all right, you guys, yes.
I had
a question. So what do you think the difference is between like American voice acting and, well, for like American shows compared to Japanese anime? Because there have been shows, especially in the past, they like parodied anime, or like Captain Mikey and stuff like that.
Yeah, I directed Stop It What They Saw, who totally parodied anime. So yeah, the difference basically is this. American anime tends to focus on the surface and then tell the story. Anime tends to focus on the story and then there's the surface, and that's really the biggest difference. Anime stories are deeper, and much more of what's being told is you have to discover, they don't just tell you. American shows tend to be hand feed you. You guys all ready? Okay, alright, so here we go. Go for it.
Great. Once upon a time, there was a prince, a princess, a knight, and a lord. The prince, princess, the knight, and the lord lived in the land of Eden Sphere, where they were all very happy and laughed all the time. One day, a strange old man came sauntering into the main village, looking very out of place. They were obviously looking for something and pondered nearly everything they saw. As they wound through the streets, they suddenly encountered, Sir Not Today, a knight charged with protecting the village. He looked the old person up and down, sneering the entire time.
Well, you guys ended up switching roles. You were supposed to do the night.
I did the sneering sound. That was what I just did.
Oh.
You gotta wait until we get to that.
Yeah, you gotta wait till we get there.
I thought that was the. So wait, what's the knife?
No, you're the knight. You're the knight. You're the knight?
No, I thought I was the old man.
You're the old man. You're the knight.
Yes.
I'm the knight.
Yeah.
That's why I did the sneering sound.
Okay. Let's take out the guy that wound through the streets.
As they wound through the streets, they suddenly encountered Sir Not Today, a knight charged with protecting the village.
Go on.
He
No,
looked,
You're gonna look.
he looked the old person up and down, sneering the entire time.
Now.
The old one didn't like this, and with a big cackle, swung their wand around their head and cast a spell on the knight.
Bigger.
Surprised, the knight jumped back to try and avoid the spell. But it was too late. The knight's armor began to heat up. In seconds, it was glowing hot, and the knight, in pain and afraid, ran as fast as he could to a water trough, and he jumped in. And he was very relieved to cool down. The old one made their way to the palace at the end of the main street of the village, chuckling with delight. As palaces go, this was rather small, only 5 bedrooms, and they were disappointed with its size. Nevertheless, the old one reached up and pulled the bell string. It was a holiday in the village, and the palace staff was off, so Lord Maybe Tomorrow answered the door. The second he saw the old one, he was taken aback and gasped with fear. The old one laughed at the fear in the Lord's eyes. The Lord recognized the old one from his childhood and knew that they were there to collect on an old debt. The princess's parents had made a deal with the old one for a spell that allowed her to become a princess. Assuming that the old one was there to collect the princess's newborn child as payment, the Lord screamed for help.
Help! Help! Somebody please!
And positioned himself in the nursery to protect the child. He was terrified. Having no idea why the Lord reacted as he did.
Actually, what? Terrified.
Having no idea why the Lord reacted as he did, the old one shrugged. And walked into the palace and began to look around. Suddenly, out of seemingly nowhere, the prince burst into the room, sword drawn. The old one just cackled again, raised their wand and cast a spell, causing an empty stand of armor to come alive. The prince was taken aback at first. But then he recovered and engaged in battle.
Battle each other, battle each other.
Finally, the prince was disarmed. He was pinned to the wall with the old one's wand pointing directly at his throat. They let out a low chuckle as they raised the wand for the finishing blow. But suddenly, we heard the princess, who was not pleased. She rushed into the room to see what was happening. Ugh. The old one spun around and raised their wand against the princess. The princess let out a frustrated sigh, reached out, and grabbed the old one's wand to yank it out of their hand. Startled, the old one and the prince simply stood there agape as the princess reached into her pocket and peeled off several bills of the local currency, handing them to the old one. The old one growled, turned, and walked out. The prince was completely confused. The princess called out to the departing old one.
Hey, that was just $50! Did you really have to do this?
The old one turned and shouted back.
Pay your student loan payment on time next time.
With a flick of the wrist, they vanished from thin air, leaving everyone, except the princess, totally confused, especially the lord.
Hey, is it okay? Hey, is it okay to come out yet? Baby need a diaper change.
The end. So, now most stories aren't done that way, but you can see how the reactions become part of the story whenever you're doing it. And when you watch anime from now on, start listening to that stuff, especially the anime that you really like. The ones that the actors, the performers really touch you, you're going to feel a lot of what we just talked about in there, just done stuff, maybe a little bit more professional. And that's just we do it every day. But that's really the difference, and that's why anime reactions are really important. They're not as important in American cartoons, interestingly enough. In American cartoons, we don't record it, we don't really record the reactions in the same way. We'll do the scene, and then there'll be 3 or 4 reactions listed, and then we'll kind of review those separately, and then they'll cut them later. And maybe if they want it, they'll have us come back and do some more, but by and large, they don't. Which is why there's a big difference in the action pieces. American is going to be driven more by music and less by voice, or anime tends to be more personal. So, any questions? Start some questions earlier. Let's continue that. Yes? What's the most fun I've had in the world? In a role? Okay, go ahead. It really depends on the week, honestly. I like all the roles I've had. I think probably the most fun I've ever had was doing Okiora. There's a sequence in Bleach where he's trying to get Orihime to eat. She's doing a hunger strike. And that whole sequence felt like I needed to take a shower afterwards. It was so kind of creepy, but it was so much fun to do because it was so creepy. So every so often you get a chance to do stuff like that, I really enjoy it. Yes?
What is one of the characters that actually made you feel like I can relate to this person and I feel like it matches my personality-wise?
Okay. Probably the first character I ever played, because I didn't know what to do. So it was pretty much me. So Rick Hunter from Robotech. He was pretty much, he was 17 and I was 26 or something like that. But other than that, I felt him. And because I really wasn't confident in my acting, I played what I felt him forward. So that's really me. The only other guy that's close to me is Minato, which I played much later. Because he's a dad, I'm a dad, I kind of related to that quite a bit. But the first role I did was the first time I went, I actually might be able to do this for a living. So other than that, in years of trying, yes.
Is there like like a role that you auditioned for that you thought you did really good on, but you didn't get it?
Yes, many. The most notable was Cowboy Bebop. I was up for Spike. And, yeah. And I was in reading, and Steve Bloom was in the next room, he was in the next room. And I finished reading this. By then I was already a producer and casting with this. And I'm looking at it going, I cast Bloom in this. And sure enough, he got a part. So, but I got to audition again. And I still didn't get a part in there. So
For a
many years later,
different character?
What's that?
For a different
For a
character?
different character. Many years later, I was hired, like paid by Anime Expo to be the MC of a bebop event. They brought the band in from Russia, the composer, had a whole cast there. I interviewed on stage. But I'm not an MC. It's not what I do. That's what I'm known for. There are better people tell me that. And then I realized I was the only high-profile anime actor in Los Angeles that wasn't in Cowboy Bebop, and that's why I was the guy that had to do it. Yes.
Is there like a character that, obviously there's characters that you know you came before, like Lupin, Lancer, but is there a character that you want people to recognize you more for? Because at least to me, a role that I really like that you've done that I don't think people really know about is like Bruford, Cowgray, and Lovers, and JoJo.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Buford was fun. It was really great to do a bad British accent. Yeah, there are some roles, and I'm particularly proud of, there's a character named Harry from Gungrave, a show called Gungrave. It was the first villain I got to play, and it was hard because he was both a villainous guy, but he was also a good-looking, non-ladies' man kind of person, and he had to kill his brother. So it was a really kind of cool piece. So that's one of the ones that it doesn't get as much love as I wish it did. There's also another show I directed called Flag. If you can find it, find it. I think you can find it for free on YouTube now. There's 10 episodes, watch it. I'm a director on it. It's just so good that you should watch it. Yes?
Do you have any voices that like you kind of had to do as like a fill-in voice that maybe you didn't want to use your voice or maybe one of your character's voices, so you kind of have a silly voice that just still is right for your head?
Well, Lupin.
Oh, okay.
Lupin is the only cartoony voice I do. So that's the one that I've always done. When I was coming up as an actor, to me, to be a voice actor, you had to know like, you had to be able to do a million voices, you had to be able to Bugs Bunny and all that stuff. It was such a surprise to me when the first time when I started getting cast, and none of it required that. I just needed to be a person,
Right.
and just a decent actor. That's all it was required of me. So that was the great surprise about voice acting. It's not about voice, it's all about the acting and the character.
Yeah, I just don't know if you had like where you just didn't want to get your voice. So it's, I don't know, like Dragon Ball.
Oh well, yeah.
When they do like the fighting art, they have like a lot of background characters that are throwaway, and it's like, well, I don't want to give that one of my character voices.
No, I don't think of it as those terms. I think whatever in the moment.
Okay.
Because it's appropriate to the moment. So, and quite frankly, they know what I sound like when they cast me. I've been around forever. So, and for a long time, they would cast us based on our Japanese counterparts. So as long as the guy who played the Rick Country character in Robotech was active, I kept getting parts he would do until he passed away, and then he's gone. But that used to be the way they casted stuff. So you get the voices that you're given. In fact, the only time I've ever really used my voice was Minato.
Okay.
Because voice actors, you all think you're supposed to change their voices, and I kept trying to remind myself, why don't you use your own voice for a change? So I did. Yes.
So when it comes to like characters, for example, like Lupin, you have your cartoonish voice, and then when it comes to like characters from like the Fate series, do you try to imitate the characters' ethnicity or their the way they should sound like or something like that?
Yeah, we're very careful with ethnicities these days, actually. I try to find out what the essence of the character is and play that. So, for instance, Lancer, who he's about chivalry and swagger. So he's always got a little bit of swagger to him when he's talking. It's still my voice, but he's just got a little bit of attitude when he's talking. And he's a good-looking man, and he knows it. So he has a certain amount of confidence. And he's got this little phantasm in his head. So he's got a little bit of that. So I just try to play that essence. So, and if you listen to the Christian Freeman's movie Grace, they don't sound very, Matt Archer is a great example of this. He doesn't sound very different from role to role to role. He sounds the same, but he's absolutely different, and he makes you feel different in every role he does, and that's because the acting he's doing. So it all comes from within, actually, which is great news For those of you who are actors and don't think you have great voices, doesn't matter. Has to do with acting. Okay. More questions? Go ahead.
Is there a different way that you approach a role for something like dubbing in a video game for like Shigami for voiceover versus anime dubbing?
Yeah, there is. For anime dubbing, we are really tied to the picture and what's on camera. So even if we want to play it a particularly different way or want to add some pauses or things like that, we're kind of trapped with the physicality and the timing of the character. With video games, we're generally not working against the picture. Sometimes we're working against time. This line has to be 2.32 seconds long. So sometimes you do have to fit it in that box, but we have freedom within that box to play the characters we want, or as we feel. So yeah, there's a different approach. For Banshee Shigami, it was interesting. They were doing it kind of as a cheap way of recording this stuff, which is they basically give you a page dialogue, and you do one take of each line. So there's like 30 lines on the page. Do one take of each line and then sit back. And the editors do what they think, and then come back and say, okay, we need to redo lines 2, 7, and 9. We go and do that. Well, that's what we were doing with that. And when I'm working fast, and I'd also been directing all morning, I literally got pulled out of one studio, walked across the hall to another, and started acting. And so I was exhausted. And I was going down the list, and the line at the very bottom was, we're going to have a bang, spanking good time. I didn't really hear it until I heard it coming out of my mouth. So I kind of looked, what the hell is this game? and the engineer had fallen off his chair that way, and the director was laughing off that side, and I knew that I was in a weird game. So that one just kind of happened. I saw the character, and I saw what he was, and that's the voice that came out. And in fact, for most of the line work, I look at the character, I get the direction, and then what comes out of my mouth is usually what I say. Because it's the most natural. So I'm not that creative with my characters. So, more questions? We got another 20 minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
What do you miss about voice acting back like when Robotech was new versus something now that's more of a convenience?
What do I miss about it? Nothing. It was hard, technically difficult, making it harder and harder to act. And when I first started, the standard was we had to hit 1/3 of all the lip flaps. So every time the lips came together, there had to be M, B, P, V, or F had to be there. And we had to hit at least 1/3 of those, or they were rejected. Which is why when you look at early dubs, everything's up there, very clipped and odd. And that's why, because they're trying to fit it in the mouths and match all the technicals. Because ADR originally was a fix-it tool for bad sound movies. So they were never trying to change things, it just naturally was there. And we were working on tape. So if I do a tape, we do it again. Sometimes 20, 25, I think the most I ever did was 35 takes on line over 2 days. I didn't get the line the first day, 25 the first day, 10 the next, and I finally got the line down. Now it's all digital. So we focus on acting. And then all the actors do has to get this close enough, within 2 or 3 frames. And the frame is 24 per second. You get it within 2 or 3 frames, and the engineers can do the rest. So we do a lot less takes, which means we spend more time acting and less time trying to figure out the technical stuff, which is why you have to enjoy it more than people that did. More questions? Go ahead.
Did anything change for you during, say, recording during COVID?
Yeah, everything changed. COVID, fortunately, well, I think KG Tang at the time, who knew that being a voice actor was a safe job to have during COVID? We were down for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, before everybody started figuring out what it was we needed to buy at home and set up booths and stuff. And then we started again. I was able to direct within 3 weeks, and then about a month later I had a booth. So people started acting again. Everything changed. Everything went from home. I didn't go to the studio for 2.5 years, almost, before I actually did any in-studio work as a director. We did do Lupin Green Jackets stuff during COVID, but that was a strange thing because we were on lockdown, so the studios had to function in a very specific way. Nobody greeted you at the door, they let you in. There was a person way at the end, waved to sign in on that thing, and then they waved you into the studio, and then a well-covered engineer would set the mic and then lock you in. That's the only thing that I would see the whole time I was there. The director was on the other side of the glass in another room. and then they would leave, and that would be it. It was just really odd. And the fandom changed considerably actually. The fandom changed quite a bit. Everybody started watching Naruto on the weekend and stuff like that. So a lot of things changed. Some of it has remained the same. I still direct Halo from home. But the other shows are different studio. And a lot of new actors got pulled in at that time because we were able to. And at least at Bangs Noon, where I do most of my work, they continue to cast from out of state, which the other studios don't. So some things have changed. It's a little easier to get in, but there's more people trying to get in, so it's harder. Yes.
So, when it comes to like live action series like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, do you find that more of a challenge or less of a challenge when it's also coming to like producing anime stuff like that?
As a producer, Power Rangers was a major challenge because it became a hit. The minute a show becomes a hit, it becomes complicated. Everyone wants a piece of it, everyone starts complaining, they have some ownership of it, the politics is awful. So that was the big thing there. Producing anime or live action dubs is much easier in that respect. What was the rest of your question? You had an interesting point on that question.
About the Mighty Morphin it was, what did you find more, was it challenging to do Power Rangers, producing stuff?
Got it. The challenges are different. The challenge for animation, especially for the original animation, is that, but for Scott Pilgrim, we record, and then 3-4 months later, we see the picture. So we were waiting a long time to find out if it's going to work, and then we had to read stuff. Rangers, I can see the next day. They were finished filming. Overnight, they would transfer that film to tape, and then the next morning, I'm looking at the dailies. So I could see if the show was going to work, so we could make adjustments as we went. It's much faster to make a Power Ranger episode. It took takes a month to write it, a week to shoot it, and a week to finish it. So, and an anime, even an anime takes longer than that, and animation's already done. So it's a bigger challenge in terms of patience, and it also is a bigger challenge in terms of everyone's got an opinion on art, and not so much on live action. So there's a lot more artistic arguments when you're doing original animation. And because I'm a voice actor, I'm a voice director, I generally don't get involved in those. I'm also not an artist. So I stay away from those arguments. But I do sit back and watch them going, you guys are arguing over this little thing that this big problem you're gonna solve. So, more questions? Come on, 15 minutes, yeah, one more question. Yeah.
Do you think like dubbing changed at all like after Funimation got acquired by Crunchyroll? Because now everything's done through Crunchyroll, and then they fully dissolved Funimation, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's just Funimation. They just bought Crunchyroll. They buy the whole industry. I don't work for them. I mean, occasionally I do Crunchyroll shows, occasionally, but I live in LA and they're in Texas. The business is in the process of changing. The Sony acquiring Aniplex and Crunchyroll and Funimation has basically consolidated all the power of that group of anime in one place. That's not good for the business, I don't think, personally, because I think it stifles competition, which means you can get less product for more money. Like what?
Like what they did to Hunter x Hunter when they dropped it out of Crunchyroll. I was like, oh.
Yeah, but I like that because I got to pick it up and I got to direct it and I got to finish it. So I'm pretty happy about that. So that was my favorite show ever. Yeah, so that did change, and it's continuing to change, and we're trying to figure it out. For instance, one of the things that happened is all the non-union, the cheap non-union work that used to be done in LA, all got sucked into Texas, which means it's harder for young actors to get in LA now because there's just not work there they have access to. So that's changed things a little bit. That said, the stuff that's being done in LA, they're spending more money, and you're seeing higher quality coming out because they have to compete at that level. You can't compete at the price level, so they're trying to compete at the quality level. So, and we'll see, the fallout is still coming, it's still happening. And hopefully the outcome later is good for the industry in general, but good competition is good for the industry, and right now there's less competition, and I worry about that, personally. Yes?
Do you have anything you do to practice or warm up, or has anything changed since the beginning that you did for preparation for a role?
I'm more skilled now, so I don't hurt myself so much when I'm warming up. It's normal vocal warm-up, same type of stuff that you would do. Opening up your head voice, staying on your throat, not in a good position to be sitting, you end up hurting yourself rather than actually warming up. So if you hum, you can't hurt your voice. I mean, you can, but really hard. So, but no, other than that, no, it hasn't changed.
Anything with like other actors, or
I'm sorry?
do you do like readings with other actors that you guys have prepared for the?
Not so much. No, when you get into professional voiceover, especially anime, you don't even know what you're playing until you walk in the booth. Unless you're playing a major character, in which case you know what you're playing, you can look it up, they don't give you the script, you're in the booth. So, since we're working one person at a time, there's 3 people involved, sometimes 4, in the recording: the actor, the engineer, the director, sometimes a producer or a writer. And it's between us, we come up with it in the moment. They don't pay us enough, quite frankly, to do that kind of homework. I can't sit and watch an entire anime for weeks and not get paid. So you figure it out, you make do, and we're all pretty good improvisers. In terms of improvising characters, not necessarily dialogue, improvising characters. I know what we do. So, more questions? Somebody's got a question. You have a question?
Sure, yeah.
Usually there's a lot more people in this thing, and the first part takes a lot longer than it did, so go ahead.
Yeah, what would you say was the most surprising aspect when you first started getting into voice acting? Like, what was the thing that caught you off guard the most?
I think I talked about that earlier, but the thing that caught me off guard the most was the fact that it didn't have to be a character. You didn't have to be a cartoon character. There are specialists that do that. There's a handful of them. Everybody else just does normal acting. Some people are good at teenagers, some good at villains, but most of us are just acting characters. The days of Bugs Bunny and that stuff. They're here, but there are people that specifically do that. There's a guy named D. Bradley Baker, wonderful actor. He was all the clones in Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah.
He does all the animals. I mean, it used to be Frank Walter did all the Disney animals. Well, now it's Frank and Dee. He did a thing for me called Alien Xmas. He played the lead character as an alien. Doesn't speak a word, just makes noises. Brilliant actor with all that stuff. I don't know why I brought him up, but he's a good example. He has a website, by the way, for those of you who are interested in getting into voice acting. It's called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. He keeps it up. It's absolutely free. He does it for the love of the business. So he's a great guy. I don't think I answered your question, but I hope so. Next question, go ahead.
Who's been your favorite person to work alongside in the industry?
Oh, God, there's a lot of them. That's a tough question. I don't piss me very off. There's some people I love working with on both sides of the camera. The engineering staff at Banks is particularly good. I mean, engineers around town are good, but they're particularly good at what they do. To a measurable level, you can see it. As far as actors are concerned, I love actors. I love working with actors. Carter Waldron is probably the most impressive actor I've ever worked with. She's able to play nearly every level of an emotion without blinking. And I can't even tell. She gets so much into the zone, I can't even tell she's turning my direction, because she's just focused. And I say the direction, and then just acknowledge it, and we roll, she does it. So it's she's pretty amazing. There's a lot of actors like that. So those are my favorites. If I'm not dealing with basics, we can get into the nitty-gritty, really get into character stuff and stuff. When I'm not having to deal with, some of the newer actors and dealing with basics, just getting the line out correctly sometimes. So I do a lot since I teach the beginning all the new actors. Yes.
So I know that there's many versions of Lupin the Third that has many different voice actors, like you as Lupin, Sonny who plays Krillin, and Usopp who plays Lupin. How does that actually work when you're not in town to do Lupin? You have somebody else to do that?
Nah, that's not how it works at all. Sonny doesn't do Lupin anymore. Sonny did all the Green Jacket movies back in the early 2000s. So once that left, he didn't do those anymore. There are 2 Lupins currently. Myself and Keith Silverstein, who's also here, by the way. I do all the comedies. He does the drama, the dark pieces. And that's how it's divided up, really. If I'm not in town, they either maybe come in before I leave town, or they wait. When I did the original series, I got hired. Disney had bought Power Rangers from Spawn, and I had left Spawn years before. But Disney hired me to go out to New Zealand and show them how to do the post-production on the show, it's different. And I was in the middle of doing the original Lupin series. So what we did was just accelerated the script by 2 weeks. I did 2 solid weeks of 8 hours of Lupin at the time, which is not something you normally do. I nearly lost my voice. But that's how you do it. But that's who's currently. But prior to me and Sonny, there was also David Hayter and Bob Bergen also played. Bob Bergen's current voice is pretty good. So, yes, you had a question. Well, I thought you made it there.
For your, what was the story on like the casting when like you were doing like casting for, or when you were auditioning for the Naruto stuff?
Well, okay. The reason I'm laughing is I didn't audition for that part. It was handed to me. There's a thing called, once you've established yourself, there's a thing called auto casting. Sometimes the casting people go, I don't need an audition, I'm not this person. And so that's how I got both Lucky Ryan and Leash. Same studio, 3 weeks apart. I didn't do that, but same year I came up too.
That was under Bang Zoo, right?
No, Naruto and Leash are in the studio office. Well, this is the company.
Yeah, but they always usually go to them, I think.
Not necessarily. I direct most of the Bang Zoo, and I've done this show at Bang Zoo. They go to whatever studio.
No, I thought they go to. It's called Stupidopolis, right?
Who?
The Stupidopolis. That's the studio.
Studiopolis is the studio.
It's
Yeah.
the one that's I thought this mostly goes there.
They go there, but they also use Bang Zoo. They use all these studios. They use a bunch of places. Even not a cup of tea. Which one of them? Anyway, I forgot. There's 3 characters. Whoever gives them the best deal, I try to. Remember, it's still a business. Everybody's still trying to do it really cheap. I got time for one more question. Go ahead.
Were there any shows that like eventually like got canceled or didn't get a second season that you wish you continued the role for? Because I think when he and Sinclair came here, you said that he really wanted to continue Gangsta, but I think it's the animation studio for that burned down.
Oh yeah, they got caught on that one. Yeah. Almost every show that ends, I don't want to see it. I've been the director of almost the entire Fate franchise since it came here, and I hate when I finish those because I love the franchise so much. So yeah, there's a lot of those that I kind of wish we continue. In terms of the other stuff, mostly American animation, I wish we could do a second season of Stop When It Takes Off. It was a great experience to work with. I never got to work with A-list actors before. It's Chris Evans and Brie Larson and these guys. And it was great to find out that they are no less insecure than we are. They just get to it faster. And they get paid more. So those kind of things. I wish I had that. There was a show that I did on Netflix called Treehouse Detectives, a little kid show. I love it. It was a great little show. And I wish we could do more of that. But Hasbro bought it. Hasbro doesn't make plushies, so they dropped the show. All right, unless there's another question? I'm out of time. Well, thank you very much. For those of you who really believe, I only got 2 hours of directing anime. We're going to talk about directing anime and we're going to direct a couple people show you how to do that. So please join me if you want to do it. And I'm down at the table. Please do it if you have more questions.
Koi. Koi?
Hey!
Koi? Oh no, it's Keith, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
Keith. That was Keith.
Yeah.
Keith.
Boy should be down his table.
Guys, I can't see that schedule. What is that?
What is this? A schedule for ants?
Yeah,
I mean, that's how it prints on their document, unfortunately. That's
No,
that's the
I
highest
know.
quality I could get it at.
I'm trying to figure out when is the next shoot. When is the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament? I probably missed that shit.
It's right here.
Yep, I missed it.
There's like 3 of them now.
What the hell? With rules.
You technically didn't miss it.
Okay, good.
I'm about to pull in.